Hi everyone, so as you know I'm doing this series looking at the different emotions, and today I'm going to be looking at sadness. So sadness is an interesting emotion because I think it's one emotion that people tend to avoid. And as a counsellor, sometimes when I'm working with people and we're trying to identify what is making them sad, what I usually try to do is identify whether it's just general like low mood because you're just not having the best day, whether it's periods of sadness and like where it could potentially be mild, moderate or severe depression. And I think it's really important for people to almost do that as well, because my feeling is that if you're feeling sad, and this is just my personal thing, there's usually a reason for that. Now it could be because it's like chemically you are predisposed to being sort of maybe a pessimist or having like negative spells, or just being someone that is generally more sad because emotions hit you more intensely. It could be that, it could be chemical, it could be, to do with your DNA or your genetics. It could also be to do with your mindset. So if you are someone that is always watching things that are quite negative, someone that is just has a fearful mindset in general, then you're going to probably have more periods of sadness. And then when things happen around you or externally, you're going to obviously like link onto them and feel even more sad. But it could also be more than that. Now, if people are struggling with sadness for long periods of time, then they should definitely speak to their GP, because it could be depression. And that's why it's really important that you don't assume that the same treatment path that you would go down for periods of sadness or low mood is the same as depression. Depression is a completely different thing. And that's why like a lot of people just assume that, if I have a little bit of counselling, or if I just go for walks, or if I do this sort of thing, then I'll be fine. But with depression, that's not going to work. So to me, sadness is just an emotion the same as all the others. I don't judge it any differently. There's not really many times where I feel sad. I don't know why. It literally, if something happens, so if I've had a bereavement, and I know when I've had bereavement, then that makes me feel sad, obviously. If something really, really bad happens, I feel sad. But apart from that, I'd say that no, sadness is not an emotion that I feel, because I'm not just going to wake up and feel sad for no reason. It's similar to me like with loneliness and this idea of I spend a lot of time alone. In fact, the other day I was saying to myself, I'm happier sometimes when you're dealing with stressful people or stressful situations, that's the thing that can actually make you feel more stressed. So for me, stress is like I keep it at bay. So because I know that when I'm by myself a lot of the time, just doing my own thing, I don't stress myself out. That's the reason, like sometimes I prefer to be on my own, just getting on with things. But yeah, I think it's your mindset and also how you perceive sadness. If there's a reason for me to feel sad, then I'm going to feel sad. I'm not going to avoid it. I'm not going to push past it. I'm not going to try to say, oh, I don't want to feel like this. I'm just going to feel it. But if there's no reason for me to feel sad or feel bored, boredom's another one. Like when people say they're bored, and I'm like, I said to someone once, I wish I had time to be bored in my diary, because you can entertain, there's too many things to entertain yourself. So boredom, to me, I don't get how someone would be bored in the 21st century, but people are. But there's so much you can do that like will stop you from being bored. There's also things you can do that will stop you from feeling lonely. There's things you can do if you're feeling sad that can cheer you up, and there's always something. As I said, the only difference with sadness is that it could be depression, and depression is a whole different thing. So what I would say to people is recognize that sadness will normally pass if it's just a normal feeling, because you're just not having that sort of good day. Then it's usually temporary. Also, don't avoid or any emotion really. If an emotion is present, then it's there for a reason. So try to identify am I feeling sad because something has happened? Am I feeling sad because I've been feeling like this for months, maybe I need to speak to a doctor about it? Am I feeling sad because I didn't get enough sleep? Try to understand why you're feeling that way, because that can help you. But don't ever avoid it just because you're saying, well, it's a negative emotion, I've got to be happy all the time, or I've got to avoid being angry, I've got to avoid being this. When people either suppress or avoid their emotions, it only ends up making that situation worse. It never works out, because the emotions are there to either teach us something, or the emotions are there so that we can take action. So that's my like little take on it. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know how you feel about this series as well. I'd love to hear your comments. Don't forget to share it with other people if they might find it interesting too. And thanks for watching. Bye.